3, 2, 1.
Here we go!
Good morning. How are you?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Good. Glad to see you here. Thanks for taking the time to sit with me. I'm happy and excited to have this conversation.
Yeah, most certainly.
That's awesome. Any questions before we jump in, or are we good to go?
You let me know. Do we have an agenda or off the cuff?
Absolutely off the cuff. This is I like to keep these conversations as raw and authentic as possible. It's just a couple of people who just love life and all the things that they're passionate about, just having a conversation.
Certainly. I love it.
Cool. Yeah, I think those are the best conversations to have because it really allows us to kind of get into just our authenticity and like the things that really pump us up. I don't like to keep it too scripted. I think this is when like the magic comes out, right?
I'll completely agree. That's
Good,
why
I
I've
love
done
it.
my podcast as well. It's off the cuff. There's no scripted questions. Let's have fun. Let's see where the conversation goes and take it from there.
I love that. So let's jump right into tell me a little bit about what is the art of greatness because I love the title of it. I want to hear more about like its origin, why you decided to do it, what the impact is. Just give me a brief rundown on what is the art of greatness and what does it mean for you?
Yeah. The idea behind the brand was a few years ago. I started a podcast and I was trying to name the podcast. And I wanted something that was all encompassing, that encompassed my life plus what I wanted this to be, which was a multitude of things. A, the podcast, and then B, some sort of a potential coaching program, and then C, what this would delve into. But it was about engaging and inspiring others to show them that they can achieve greatness, to show people that anyone from any journey that they've come from has achieved greatness through overcoming obstacles, through being able to persevere through the issues that they've had. And we had some people on the podcast that were homeless, that didn't have a great life coming up, into making hundreds of millions of dollars a year. So it was a very neat kind of transition between that plus what we're doing now. So Art of Greatness more from a podcast into a property management company. So we still have the podcast. We kind of put it to the side right now. And then we have Art of Greatness Property Management. So everything we do is about being the best at what we do. There's no point in trying to get in there and daddle and put a foot in. We dive right into the deep end. It's about being the experts in our space. So in the short-term management rental space, I've been officially as a business in there for the last 10 to 12 months. We have north of $30 million worth of properties under management. So what we do is we can help clients find a property if they don't already own one. We can help them design a property. We will manage it from A to Z, or we'll design it for them and manage it from A to Z, and then we'll scale it. And what we've been able to do is in any market that we operate in, we're already in Florida. We have a few in Miami. We have some in Toronto. We have some in Muskoka. We're at 14, 15 properties right now. Our 15th one is launching in about a month and a half. We're doing some rentals in Miami right now. And in every city that we operate in, we've been able to achieve the highest revenue possible for all comp properties. And we've exceeded the top revenue by 20 to 40%. If I give you an example, Miami, when we launched January 26th this year, which was about 7 months ago, January 26th this year, we projected 118 to 120 USD, 118,000 USD for the full year. In 7 months, we're sitting at $175,000 USD. That's what the top properties were making, 114, 118, 120. And even my clients are astounded that we've been able to achieve that. But that's the back end strategy of being able to design a property, understanding what amenities it needs, and then beyond that, being able to set up a very successful listing, and then providing the hospitality and providing a certain level of experience to ensure the guests are happy. So it's a multitude of things, and it's probably a 4-part approach between finding the property, to B, setting it up, to C, then setting up a listing, and then D, managing it for success. And if not all of those things are working in conjunction, then you're not going to be able to be as successful as we've been in the last X amount of time. And now we're headed towards 20, 25, 30 properties, but we also only try to bring on properties that make sense for our portfolio. And our average property makes north of 6 figures a year. Our top property is that we just brought on 2.5 months ago has done 140,000 in revenue in 2.5 months. And that's our top property, but not every property is like that. So it's about being able to achieve greatness no matter who you are, but persevering through the tough times and being able to be better every single day. Continuous, never ending improvement is what I believe in. I feel like greatness is amongst ourselves, but most people just don't have the consistency in achieving it over and over again. And that's what we help them find.
So then what you described there is awesome. Don't take this the wrong way at all. But it seems more based in tangible things and dollars, as far as like, hey, let's look at the amount of properties, let's look at the revenue that they're generating. Is that the definition of what greatness is for everyone? Or can you be great at being a public speaker that doesn't necessarily translate into dollars in the bank, but lives impacted? Like, what is the definition of greatness?
Yeah, the numbers have nothing to do with it on that side. I think that is just part of the business, and it's easier to quantify greatness when you have numbers attached. However, I think greatness can be achieved in a multitude of areas, whether it's public speaking or podcasting or being able to engage, inspire others, coach others, being the best version of yourself. That is greatness. And I think it comes in different ways. You and I may be great at two different things: being a great father, being a great husband, being better for the people that are around you. And how do you make people that are surrounded by you better, right? Like, how do I inspire my team to achieve more, to be better in their lives or in their work? And how is it that I can add to them? And and I think that's the difference between also leadership and managers, right? Like, not every manager or business owner can be a great leader. And
Right.
leadership, it's such a multifaceted approach where you have to understand people most importantly, because you're not looking at just the bottom line. That bottom line gets achieved through your people. And the larger your team, the harder it is to achieve. And a lot of people don't understand it's not bottom up leader. A lot of people think it's at the bottom that culture is created. A culture is created at the very top. It's the top of the organization. And as you build it out, and if you're a new organization, it's easier to control by bringing in people that align with your values. And if you're not bringing in those people that align with your values, then it's going to fall apart really quickly and it's harder to get it back. So in already existing organizations, and I've witnessed this through my work experience, I used to be the director of operations for Saks Fifth Avenue, Canada. I've managed teams of 300 people. I've managed 15 senior level managers. And that's where I've seen things fall apart very quickly. And if you're promoting the wrong things or recognizing, better yet, the wrong behaviors, and you're recognizing just results are a result of the behavior. The behavior needs to be recognized, not the results. So I think when you reel that back in to be able to focus on what is the work that you're putting in for the achievement that you're receiving, it's the work that gets recognized. And oftentimes people mix it up with the achievements, right? Like, the achievements are what everyone sees and sees the overnight success, but there's nothing that's overnight about it, right? People don't see the hours and the days and the months and the struggles that we've all gone through to get to the place that we're at. But I also believe there's winners and there's losers, right? Like, I think that's where people have to have a certain type of mentality to be able to go out there and believe in their own greatness. And if you don't believe in your own greatness, then who the hell else is going to believe in it? Sorry, can you swear on the podcast? Sometimes I swear. No?
Yeah, you can do what you got to do.
Okay, perfect.
But no, I appreciate the clarification on that, because, I think for a lot of people, especially in their beginning stages when they're looking at their future version of themselves, a lot of people tie it to only a dollar amount, or they tie it to only, physical achievement. And I think, if I can recap, or at least what I heard you say, is it's not necessarily about that and only that, right? That just happens to be one metric you can use to quantify your level of achievement in this specific area. But being great is about being the best version of yourself that you could possibly be, right? It's better than yesterday, but not as good as you'll be tomorrow. It's continuing to kind of push forward, and what you're doing here in terms of the amount of properties that you manage, the revenue those properties bring in, is just a metric of measuring the success rate of those items. Right? If you want to be great at, if you want to bake the best cupcake in the world, and your metric happens to be how many little kids like your cupcake compared to someone else's, right? That could be your metric of success. Do I hear that right?
100%.
I love that. So I think it's mostly about finding what your zone of genius is, and then becoming the best possible version of that. Is that right?
Yes. And that can be approached in so many ways, right? Personal life, professional life. How do we just better ourselves, be a better version every single day, as you've said and as I've said?
So let's go back a little bit to the culture aspect, because there was one thing you touched on there that I think I'd like, to dive deeper on, is culture being set from the top, which I would tend to agree with. One of the struggle points, I think, there is a lot of the leaders don't even know what their values are, right? They're leading a company, but they don't even understand their own core values. So they kind of put this fake version out there because it's what they're supposed to do. And then no one really runs with it. The bottom has no clue because the bottom doesn't see it emulated, and the top doesn't align with the bottom, and everything is kind of a mess. Do you see that same thing happening?
Oh, it's happening everywhere. It's happening in more cases than it's not happening, right? I think very few people understand how to build culture well. And the ones that understand it are truly the most successful leaders in the space and in whatever space they're in, right? It's that, and that's not the number metric. And I'll give you a couple examples. I remember at Saks Fifth Avenue, one of our locations in downtown Toronto that was doing north of $100 million a year. I walked in and everyone's like, rah, rah, great job, guys. You guys are killing it. And I had just gotten promoted to the director of ops, overseeing pretty much the entire operation. And I'm looking there, I'm like, guys, the behaviors are all off. I think we need to reel it back in. And by just recognizing them for the fact that they're achieving numbers, well, it was the first year we're in existence. Those numbers never existed in the past. So you don't know if they're doing great or not so great. These numbers were a shot in the dark that we had, these budgets that we had that were exceeding, but we're recognizing the wrong behaviors. People are standing around, not smiling, not saying hello, not understanding the collaborative culture that you need to have to be able to build something successful. And what happens year two? It starts to fall apart, right? And the problem with that is you don't see it till it falls apart and you don't realize it. I think very few people have the ability to see something and be able to tweak it. But in an operation of 200, 300 people, even to tweak culture can take years. And I think that's the flip side is and it needs to come from the top, right? And I'll give you another example. I know someone that owns a restaurant very close to me. And I had this in-depth discussion with him about culture. And he said, culture is not important in the restaurant business. You don't understand. But people have blinders on. People don't realize how truly important it is, because I asked him, I'm like, well, do they know the expectations? Do they know to tell every guest that walks in or walks out before they walk out that you have catering, that it's a big part that you're pushing? Well, we have a sign on the door. They can see that when they walk in. I'm like, but why not reiterate that? Do they know what they're saying to the guest that's walking in? And it's a completely different business model, right? But the concept is the same. Are they upselling the right way? Are they suggesting different things? Are you able to increase your average dollar size? Are you able to bring those people back by giving them better service? But do you have consistent standards? Are those standards documented? Do you have a consistent training? And none of it was documented. None of it was, but it was like, it was explaining to someone and he didn't want to agree with me. He still doesn't think it's important. And it's okay. Sometimes like bees don't explain to flies why honey's better than shit, right? Like, so right. What are we going to do? At the end of the day, sometimes that advice falls on deaf ears. People that actually want to build a great business will be able to take that advice. I'm the type, you tell me something, I'm be like, okay, what else can I do? It's not a personal jab at me. It's just, how can I be better for my people, for my business? Instead of me going from one location to 3 locations, how do I take this location, the profitability from 12% to 18%? Because that is way better than me dumping another $1 million in another restaurant, right? Like a lot of people don't realize what you have here. The opportunity is so much greater if you're able to control the product that you put out. And even for us on the property management side, we had some of our cleaning teams outsourced. We had to bring them in-house. I had to go up to Muskoka, which is 3 hours away from me. I drove up 8 times in 2 weeks in the last 2 months. Like there was a 2-week period where I drove up 8 times. I was scrubbing toilets. I want you to know. Yeah, sure, it looks all pretty on the face, but yeah, I was on the back end training my teams of the expectations I have. I have properties from $1 million to $11 million, right? Like I have an expectation for my team. And if they're not meeting that expectation, I'm going to be out there. So it's not that I'm above them and I'm better than them and I'm not going to do all that stuff. I'm going to get down and dirty with them, do the work with them, show them that we are all part of the team. I'm as much part of the team as they are, right? And we're all in this together to achieve success and to achieve the product, to achieve a level of service, or to achieve a certain culture. And if people don't match your culture, your values, which I think entrepreneurs, business owners, leaders need to set in the very beginning, if they don't have the non-negotiables, don't hire them, period. And even if it takes you 2 more months to hire the right person, and it's better than hiring the wrong person at the right time, right? Like now
Right.
may be the right time, but you can't hire a good person at a bad time. You can hire a bad person anytime. And that good person will help your business immensely, but you hire the bad person, you're spending time and money training. And then when you have to get rid of them, more time and money, and then you're retraining someone else. So instead,
Yeah.
just slow down, figure out what is important to you, to your business, what your values are. And if you don't align, if you don't have a positive attitude, if you don't have integrity is a big part of it. Like the last setup that we just did, we spent $113,000 on the property. There has to be I was just playing with the client's money. It's 113 grand. It's not a small amount of money to be able to go out and spend, have receipts for everything, show them that you're doing everything. And there are a couple of things I didn't have receipts for, but there is trust there. There is hey, I've got all my screenshots of all the conversations. Some guys work on cash. It is what it is, but they understand. But I don't try to charge extra for my clients. Let's make $100 here. Let's make $100 there. I think if you have your client's best interests at heart and you treat their money like it's your money, you'll be far more successful. And I've got so many examples of that one too, if you want me to go down that route, but you let me know.
I mean, it's a great point. And I think in every example that I can think of, when you don't try to nickel and dime your customer and you're honest with them, they're willing and happy to pay you more for the value that you provide, rather than saying, like, there are so many people that I see who just try and, pad the bill or try and sneak a couple bucks here or there and wind up shooting themselves in the foot long term. Like, yeah, you get paid today, but you've now lost your trust. You've lost your recommendations. You've lost your integrity. Like, the long term negative effect of that is so bad. And I think that extends even out into one-on-one relationships. Like, I think that this same thing we're talking about here in a business, when you talk about being able to see past year one, goes into your relationship with your husband or your wife. Like, you look into, hey, how does year two look like once we get past the honeymoon phase, right? We're recognizing, hey, this is awesome in the start, but if we continue down this path, it's going to lead to a bad place. And it doesn't have to be this super negative conversation, which leads in divorce, right? But it has to be this honest look at, like, hey, how can we show up and serve each other? And, do you think that same thing applies through relationships as well?
Oh yeah, the trust is all you have in relationships, right? Like once the trust is gone, everything falls apart. Trust, communication, but it stems from that trust, the openness. I've been happily married for 9 years. I've been with my wife pretty much for about 11. I've known her. It's been incredible. We have 2 beautiful children together, 3 and 6, a boy and a girl. And it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun raising them, but there's immense amount of trust. If I'm going up north with an assistant or with my cleaning team, my wife's not questioning me, just as I'm not questioning her when she's going away somewhere, or if she needs to go to Chicago for something, or if she's going to Niagara Falls. But I hired someone, and this is funny. This happened just 2 months ago. I hired someone. I'm in a car with her, and we're driving up north to Muskoka. And in the beginning, I always go with my assistants to the properties. Even the male assistant that I had from 7 months ago, him and I would go together to every property. That wasn't because I wanted to sleep with him. That was because I wanted to show him what the expectations were. So as we're driving up, this assistant's husband calls up me on my cell phone. Never spoke to him, never met him. I don't understand why my wife is in a car with another man. And I'm like, really? But that's trust. They were married for double the time that I've been married for. But like these types of things shouldn't happen. There needs to be enough trust and understanding and openness with your partner to be able to realize, okay, I trust this person, but you also have to communicate, be open with each other, be honest with each other, don't lie to each other. And I think that's where it starts, right? A lot of people fall apart on the communication side, and they won't tell them where they're going, or they'll lie about. Why even lie? My wife asked me, hey, when'd you get home? And last night was one of these odd nights. I was with one of my friends. He's here from the UK. I was with him till 1:30, 2 a.m. Usually I don't even go anywhere. I'm in bed by 11, but don't need to lie to her about where I am. It doesn't that's the trust part. And then your kids see it as well, right? Your values stem down to your children. If you're lying about what you're doing to your wife, you're lying about what you're doing to your kids. And what are you really teaching your kids, right? And bringing up little humans is arguably the greatest thing in the world. It's the funnest job that I have, and I absolutely love it. I really enjoy my children and the relationship I have with them. I have fun with them. I spoil them sometimes. I put them in their place. But I do believe in that aspect of, I guess, and I'll put it a certain way, but there needs to be the love in one place. There needs to be the respect in another place. And there needs to be a slight bit of fear, not fear of like getting hit, but fear of consequence if they do something wrong. But also they're loved, they respect you, and they fear you to an extent because you are their father or mother. You're not their best friend. I think a lot of people need to distinguish the children side. But yeah, the relationship side is definitely fun through its phases, honeymoon phase versus the children phase versus a whole lot of it, right? Like as the kids are growing up, what are you teaching them? How are you spending time with them? Sometimes my wife is doing more than I am. Other times I'm doing more. Like for the most part, she's an absolute gem. I lucked out. I've got to say on the record.
I love that. Yeah, no, I think that brings up a great point too, especially in the children aspect, because, when you look at, hey, how do you develop that relationship? So many people struggle with either, hey, ruling by force and force alone. Then there's the people who want to be best friends. I think trying to figure out like, where is that line drawn? Because you want to have a good relationship, but you don't want it to be this like buddy thing when there is no respect. But trying to understand that back and forth with your kids is a struggle, and I think there are also a certain number of parents today that didn't have that relationship with their parents, right? Where, the generation of our parents were a little bit more strict, a little less outwardly lovey. And I think, there are some who've maybe rebounded too far. When you're raising your children, how much of that is impacted by what you've seen from your own parent?
I think to an extent it is, but then you shape it based on your knowledge of the world, right? I think your upbringing is one thing, but then beyond that, times have changed. That's the reality, right? Like I used to get beat with a fucking stick when I was a child. I don't beat my kids with a stick. They get a smack here and there. Yeah, I do smack my kids here and there. I'll admit it. But it's not like a smash on the face, like beating. No. If they're drawing on the wall, they'll get a smack on the hand to be like, no, you can't do that. But that's why there's no marks on my walls, and they understand. And I also think you can't teeter in the middle, right? Like you're not trying to be in the middle of everything. You're not trying to be in the middle of the respect side, the middle of we don't want to have too much fun. No. Go all out. Have fun with your kids. I go nuts. I'll carry my kids. We'll chase each other. We'll have fun. We'll go crazy. My wife thinks I'm a little nuts, but I think most wives think the husbands are like, I'll throw my kids up in the air 10 feet high. We'll have fun with them. But when it's time to discipline them, it's time to discipline them. For them to understand that there are boundaries, for them to understand that there are certain things that they shouldn't be doing. But if you don't reprimand behaviors, you're condoning the behaviors. So then the child, oh, no, don't do that. Oh, no. Like, oh, no. And the naughty corners, unfortunately, it's not enough. I don't think so, at least. That's my personal belief. But if someone disagrees, they disagree, to each their own. But the kids need to behave themselves to an extent as well. They shouldn't be like just smashing other kids. And obviously, when you're playing, that stuff happens. We let the kids be. But at the same time, it shouldn't get out of control. Like we have kids that come in that broke all of my kids' crayons. Like one of their cousins came in and just broke all the crayons. But that's like, he does that in his own home, or he's drawing on the walls in our home, and you don't reprimand that child. So he's coming and doing it in my home. And now and that's where you fall into really like muddy waters is what do you do when other kids, and obviously it's easy to point fingers at other kids, and nobody's kids are perfect, nor mine. They have fun. They're mischievous at times, but they're also kids, right? Like the flip side is they are kids. You got to let them have fun. But at the same time, you've got to know where to draw the line. I'm your best friend for 75% of the time. And when I need to be daddy who's strict, I can be daddy who's strict. I don't know why fireworks are going off around me, but yeah. I don't know if okay, fireworks again. But I guess it's the balance. How old are your kids?
My son is 11. My daughter is 8.
Okay, so 3 years apart, same thing. So I have it flipped. My daughter's 6. My son's 3. And it's fun, right? Like my son goes and tackles my daughter. It's a different energy. The boy energy versus the girl energy. It's drastically different. Very
Yeah, no,
interesting to see the personalities.
it is. And I think so much of that comes from what they see their parents play out, right? And kind of what you were talking about before about being in the middle. I think a lot of that comes from not understanding who you are, right? Your authenticity. You're trying to be in the middle because you want to be loved. You don't want to be criticized. You don't want to be in the wrong. But if you truly know who you are and you operate in that space, you're not worried about it. You're okay taking a stand and saying, hey, this is how I reprimand my kids. This is, what the standards look like in our house. And I understand sometimes you're going to be mad at me, right? My daughter is mad at me often, right? And part of that is just, it's my daughter and she's going to have emotional mood swings because it is what it is. But like sometimes she's going to be pissed off because daddy said no. But, unfortunately, that's the role we got to play. And you got to understand that you can't always want to be, right, bending your core values around whatever their whims are, because then, who's the one who's kind of grooming who, or, grooming is probably not the right word there, but, educating, shaping, right, trying to understand what it looks like to be a responsible person. You want to exemplify those same values. And I laugh a little bit because I just heard the lawnmower start up. My son is in the back cutting the grass right now.
I love
it. I appreciate that. I told him, hey, it's summertime. It's the last week before school starts. I understand you want to kind of hang out, play some video games, enjoy the summer, but I need you to take care of this for me today. And I'm here with you. I didn't say, hey, do me a favor, go do it right now. But, he decided, all right, cool, enough hangout time. Let's go get the stuff done. And I love that real time example of that. It's pretty cool.
And giving them the autonomy to make the decision. I think that's kind of neat. And I think the children thing is very similar to the employee thing as well, where,
100%.
If you have this scale, right, on one end, let's say it's accountability, on the other end, it's recognition. You never want to teeter-tot in the middle. You're either recognizing them or you're holding them accountable. There's no such thing as like, if they did a great job, they need to know they've done a great job. They need that pat on the back. The recognition is important for children. It's important because you're condoning certain behaviors, and vice versa. If you're not reprimanding the behaviors or not holding someone accountable for stuff that they committed to or they should have done, then you're condoning those behaviors to say, hey, it's okay for you to not greet that client, to not be to not draw on the walls. Like, it's all good, just do whatever you want, right? Free for all in that sense. I also think teaching children in terms of how to actually be a real human being, how to be a man, a woman, like how to grow up the right way in society, how to build something for themselves, and not solving all their problems. If they're struggling, let them struggle. Stop trying to fix, and I think we all fall into this. And in the beginning, I did too, right? Oh, the kid needs help. I'm like, no, let him struggle. Like, he's trying to climb on the bed. No, keep going. You'll figure it out. It might take 10 extra seconds, but I'd rather you figure it out than me help you every step of the way, because I don't want to have to hold your hand. And I'm there to hold your hand. So yes, there is that safe haven, but I also want you to be able to figure it out. Like my daughter, she was building her first Lego set. It was like 98-piece Lego set. She was on the last piece, and she asked grandma to just put that last piece on because she just couldn't get it. It was too small in the middle, and it fell, the entire Lego piece. So she almost cried. She was sad. And I'm like, Sophia, you got this. You almost did this the first time. 10 minutes, she was done. The next one. But it's just letting them know that they got this. We don't need to help you figure this out. We're here if you need help, absolutely, but you don't need that help. I want you to figure life out and figure certain things out on your own so you can be the problem solver. And I think you said this word grooming, and that kind of, there's lots of grooming going on right now with schools, but I won't go too deep into that. But I will say this: I think the system that's out there from a schooling perspective as well is out there to build these soldiers that go out, that get jobs, and that don't really build anything on their own for the most part. It kills creativity. So I think the more you can have that with your children, and I'm trying to figure out ways to, okay, how do we do a lemonade stand next year? My daughter's turning 7. I'm like, understanding the time value of money when you're doing tasks or certain things like the lawnmower, being responsible for certain things, but allowing them to also start thinking outside of the box. I want my children to ideally be little entrepreneurs at some point in time and teach them those aspects, but that's the fatherhood side.
100%. And I think that it's important to note, there's not a maliciousness to the school aspect, right? Because there are a lot of educators who have a genuine care for these kids. But I think if you look at the system as a whole, and it's just the quote unquote fault of it being a system, it's not catered to the specific child. Right? And there are going to be educators who do the right thing by your specific kid. But unfortunately, there are parents who say, hey, I'm going to put my kid into a school and let the school raise my kid. And you see it over and over again. And they don't take a responsibility in their own home to either, help reinforce things or give them actual core values in the home, give them life lessons about, hey, how do you shake a hand, right? That's not taught in school. But there are certain things that you need to show and educate your kids on. And I don't think school as a whole is bad, but I do think what it is it's a very important piece of the puzzle, but there's so much more that needs to be taught in the home, right? Or in the real world. Take them places, show them things. Right. And there's a certain perception like, hey, if you let your kids be involved in whatever you're doing, they're going to slow you down. It's going to cause you to, right, not be able to live your life. And there's a certain element of freedom that I think some people really want or respect. Like, hey, I want to be able to kind of do my own thing and not have to worry about bringing my kids with me or showing them this or dealing with them, which personally I disagree with. I'd rather, take a little bit longer to go do a thing most of the time. To be able to show them and give them that life experience, because that's what they're going to be able to now lean on and say, hey, when you're, 38 years old and you want to be able to show your kids something, you learned it because your dad showed you. Right? It's not this very rigid box, which I think most people try because they don't understand, at least my interpretation, they don't understand enough about themselves and they're not willing to kind of be an amateur at things the first time. They're not willing to fail their way forward. And I think that's a really important part. And I think that relates back to kind of how we started this conversation about what does it mean to be great? I think in order to be great, you have to be willing to suck first. You have to be willing to say, hey, I'm going to go do a thing.
We all went through adversity, right? The failures are what make you successful. It's not the success. Like you learn more from that singular failure than the 5 successes that you have. Because then you have to readjust, right? Any sports team, any business, you have to step back and say, okay, how am I going to change what I did to be better next time? And it's the beauty of life, right? Like failure is part of it, but it's not failure, it's opportunity. It's opportunity for you to be better so you can go out there, win. And some people look at it as, hey, this is the be all end all. I failed. That's it. I'm done. And I think that's just the wrong way of looking at life in general. And with school, look, I completely agree. I think the system's fucked. That's my personal opinion. I think there's tons of great educators. I agree with everything you said, but I think the system hasn't changed in 40, 50 years. They're still sitting in this classroom. They're still learning the same type of bullshit that they're teaching the kids. And it's like the undergraduate system is silly for them. So in the UK, you don't have undergraduate. You want to become a lawyer, well, right out of high school, you can go do 4 years and you're now an associate, right? Like you're working for a law firm. Or you're going to dental school for 4 years. Well, why do I need an undergraduate in psychology or sociology or business to now go study law for? But it's a system built to make money. Even in real estate, like you have, I think 95,000 realtors in Ontario, and I'm a real estate agent myself. Too easy to get a license, too cheap to get a license. Every other person has a license. There's someone in every family at 95,000 agents, which is insane. And 70% of agents sold nothing in the last year. So it's when you start looking at these things with the way systems work, it's bureaucracy, it's money, it's their ability to make more by keeping the system the way it is. And I think that needs to fundamentally change, and for the betterment of the kids, because we're teaching them how to pass an exam. We're not teaching them how to truly be successful in real world. We're not teaching them, as you said, how to have real world conversations, how to manage finances. Why don't they learn about money in school? Why don't they learn about credit cards? Most kids have no idea how they work, right? Like, obviously, this is the world of ChatGPT. You've got all the information at your fingertips, but you're lazier and in general, not like it's a bad generalization, but the newer generation is slightly lazier with more information and slightly, I don't know how you want to look at it, but almost slightly like not dumber, but they're not utilizing stuff to their advantage that they can. And a lot of people want handouts and they're not willing to work as hard. And not everyone, right? Let's not make like 100% of the people. There's obviously certain sets of people that have good values, good beliefs that are still coming up in today's generation, just as they did in mine and yours. In every generation, this happens, but I feel like it's teetering a different way than it
Yeah,
has
I would
in the
agree.
past, at least.
Yeah. I think there's so much of that parents miss the opportunity to really apply because we're so busy stuck in our own crap that, again, same sort of thing scenario here. Year one, yeah, it's functioning fine. By year 10, now you're paying the price because you didn't pay attention in years 1 through 9. Right? And I think that there are so many adults right now who are raising kids who are not really conscious of, hey, what is it going to look like when my kid turns 18, 19 because of the decisions I'm making right now? That's a lot of pressure. And you don't want to overcorrect, right? Because you see that happen too. But you got to be able to pay attention to that and separate your own ego and pride from, hey, what am I going to do to set up this person? Again, whether it's a kid or an employee, because I think that they're pretty interchangeable in a lot of things for success, right? Do you see the same thing happen?
Yeah. And I think if you break it down of the process, it's really, we have to set expectations. That's step number one with everyone. What are the expectations? And then we have to be there as the employer or as the parent to follow up, to recognize, to reprimand, to be able to. And I think that's what is missing a lot of times is there's no clear set of expectations. It's kind of a free for all for most people, whether it's organizations, children. And if you miss that first part, then no matter what you do, you're not really getting it back, right? Like those first few years of your child's life, they're only children for what, 4 years, 5 years? Then they're like little humans and they start talking back. And and I think, I can't remember who said that. I think PBD said this, and PBD is an interesting character, but he said this that I jive well with, which was first they idolize you, then they demonize you, children, and then they humanize you. And I guess we've all been through the phases. And then once we have children, you start to realize, holy shit, all the stuff my parents did for me. But it doesn't cross your mind that all the sacrifices that they made, although things were different, right? They also made their sacrifices, just as we are for our children, and our children will for the next generation. But you don't realize it till you become a parent. And I guess you're going through a phase where your children are preteens, like so into their teenage years. That's different. 8 and 11 is different than 3 and 6. But I'm at the idolize phase. You're going to enter potentially, and that demonized phase can be extreme. It can be low. But obviously, like, I hate you. Like, you're my enemy because I can't go sleep over. No, kid, you can't go sleep over. Not until you're 18. That's just but that's our standard, right? Like, that's our expectation. My wife knows this. The kids can't go sleep over at anyone's house, period. That's just it. That's our standard, but it may not be yours. And I'm not saying I'm right, you're wrong. I'm just saying have your set of standards and rules. There needs to be something.
I agree. I think that the demonize phase, the intensity at which you experience it, I think is in a direct relation to what you say versus what you do. So I think if you are the type of parent or the type of person who absolutely does what you say and you actually walk out the life that you're telling your kids that they should do and you give them, right, an example of followable excellence, you're much less likely to go through that demonized phase at a very difficult version because they can very clearly see, hey, when mom or dad say X, Y, or Z, yes, that's actually the life that they're living, right? They're there to walk it out and show me, all right, cool. It's not just they're telling me, hey, go do X, Y, and Z while they sit on the couch and eat popcorn and watch a movie, right? They're actually showing you what it looks like to go do this, and you can understand very clearly why, because they walk it out, right? Because I think that's on us to give them that example of followable excellence to say, hey, this is what it looks like to live a good life. If you want to enjoy things, this is what it's going to take. And they can see that being walked out every day, right? They don't start to say, hey, mom or dad, you're full of crap. I'm not going to listen to you because you're not doing it yourself. And there's going to come a time where they're old enough to realize that. And they may not call you out on it. They may just resent you quietly. But there's going to come a time where they realize who you really are. And it better freaking line up with who you say you are.
I've never actually thought about that. So that's a very neat perspective, which puts things kind of together because my kids are younger. So I haven't really quite gotten there yet. So that's a very neat perspective, a way to look at it. You have to emulate your values before you expect anything of them as well, right?
Yeah. And I think, really, I didn't intend it to be this way, but I think that ties back into, again, how we started this conversation about being the greatest version of you. If you can literally walk that out and continue to pursue what greatness looks like in your life, you're going to give your kids, you're going to give your employees, you're going to give the people in your community an example to follow. Right. So I think that there is a tremendous amount of responsibility on ourselves. And it can't be the type of thing that you're putting on yourself just because you have to. You got to be kind of aligned with your purpose there to be the best version of you. So I love how this has come full circle, and we've covered a tremendous amount of topics inside of that, but they all relate back to being the greatest version of you.
And I'll add one thing here, which is, you have friends that are successful at everything they do, whether it's a job, it's whatever it is, the entrepreneurship, and they go from one place to another, they get promoted, they get the awards, and it's always the same people. That's because they figured it out. They understand what hard work gets them. They understand how to solve problems. They understand how to have great work ethic and show up every single day and be better. And then you have the guys that complain, that get fired from every job they had. And that's the difference between winners and losers. But everyone can be a winner. And all it takes is that certain set, and that has nothing to do with numbers. That has everything to do with your attitude, how you're showing up, how you're intentful in what it is that you want to accomplish. And then actually going out there doing it. Proving, whether you're doing it for yourself, for the haters, for whatever. In the beginning, it was like, I want to prove everybody wrong. I don't care what anybody thinks. Like, I've gotten to a point, I'm so comfortable in my skin, I don't give a shit what anybody has to say about what I do, what I'm doing, how I run my business. I genuinely don't care. I could pay it no mind. Very small social circle, very small set of friends. Like, I have one person in my close set of one person. That's it. That's all I need. And even that, I have my wife, I have my kids. Like, you've got to be comfortable with yourself in your skin to know who you are, to be able to go out there, accomplish what it is that you want to accomplish. I know what I'm capable of. So when I, let's say, left the retail side or and the retail leadership side to get into the real estate side, they're like, hey, we'd love to welcome you back if it doesn't work out. No. There's no option in it not working out. It's never not going to work out. It's always going to work out. Because Eminem says this, right? Success is the only motherfucking option. Failure is not. It's just not an option. So when you believe in that, and I remember I used to listen to this song on repeat before my soccer games in my early 20s, going up to play indoor soccer right before our league games. I blast this song on repeat. This would be the only thing. But it's just like, that's the mentality you have to have. You got to walk in to believe in your greatness, believe that you will be successful. And that's half the battle. If you believe it, you'll do it. If you don't believe it, you're already you've shortchanged yourself already. You've doubted yourself. And I think in the newer generation, in our children, in people that are coming up, I think we're putting doubt in their mind sometimes to say, hey, you got this. Like, say, you got this, buddy. Like, Sophia, you got this. Noah, you got this. My kids' names. But it's just putting it in their minds that they can do this.
I love that. And I think there's a tremendous part of that too, where they see mom or dad decide to go do something and then go actually execute it, right? Because then they see that same thing carried out. And again, that's the difference between saying and doing. Right? When mom or dad say, hey, I'm going to do this, they go do it. And even if they fail at it, they continue to push and they continue to pursue until they succeed. And I think that's the tremendous takeaway that I would love for people to have in their lives is just go do the thing, right? Be willing to fail. And the more that you go and do that, the greater you'll become, because you'll continue to not only inspire other people, but inspire yourself. So the next time you come up with something that you think you might not be able to, you're going to say, oh, no, last time I thought I couldn't do this and I did it. And you're going to continue to pursue and achieve things. And again, I think to what you said before, the reason why certain people accomplish all these things isn't because they are different, right? They're not gifted in some other way, shape, or form. They decided they're going to do it and they did it. And now they've fallen in love with the journey, right? It's that feeling of, hey, I'm looking for other stuff that I can go suck at. I love that. I don't know about you, but I love finding things that I'm not good at, because then I get to go through the journey again. It's like, oh, cool. I get to be a student of the game again. I love finding things where I could be an absolutely awful example of, hey, I don't know how to paint or draw or do whatever these things are until I do it enough times and I'm going to figure it out. And that journey is so freaking fun. That, I think, is the difference. You got to find the enjoyment of the process. Then you can go do whatever you want. It's like a cheat code for life. You could do literally anything if you just decide you're the type of person who does.
And I get that from the parents. My mom's like, I can do anything. She's like 67 right now. She's like, I want to start a business. I can do anything, Fahad. She's like, I feel like I can accomplish so much more. But it's the mindset, right? Like mindset is that belief in ourselves, and it's not fun being a rookie. It is for some people, but for the most part, when you go from veteran to rookie, it's not easy for most people either, right? To suck at stuff. And we have to suck to be great, as you made the best point, which was you've got to go through the failures to get to the successes. And if you can't go through that and you just quit halfway, then you're the loser, right? Like you haven't lost till you've quit. And failure isn't losing. It's just a step towards success. It's the opportunity that you have.
Yeah, I couldn't have said any better myself. Fahad, I want to thank you again for this conversation. This has been a true pleasure. And how can we best support you going forward?
You guys can find me on Instagram, FF Realtor. Very easy to find. I'm sure you'll probably plug it in the details anyways. But yeah, if you guys ever need any help with the short-term rental space or with business leadership, entrepreneurship in your business, feel free to reach out. I've got a wealth of knowledge, would love to share, would love to be able to help you out. We've got coaching programs, and we, of course, manage a ton of high-level properties for clients across the US and Canada. So any market that you're in, feel free to hit me up. Would love to help you out.
I love that. Thank you. Happy birthday to you.
Cha, cha, cha.
Happy birthday.